Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out New Cat Body by Jeremy.
Good afternoon. It is another great day to be doing Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. Will Vogt says, good morning, sir. Trivia was so much fun last night. Ricky Sakat says, good afternoon, JB. And yes, it was fun last night. But by request, I did the Giovanni Manu draft profile. I copied the first paragraph, and then I went into detail and wrote my own on what I saw in game film last night. So, no, I haven't watched Receiver, but I already know exactly what was said about St. Brown. And how tough is that guy? Wow. The oblique injury that he had, if you think about it, that's the same one that plagued Miggy for 3 straight seasons. And the reason why he never played 3 straight seasons. Took him 3 years to recover from, and he had surgery on it the first year. And this guy did it and played through it. That's amazing. And then having hoof and mouth disease in his foot, and then having another inoperable toe thing, so he put a steel plate in his shoe, causing blisters and stuff, but he played through it. That guy has to be the toughest wide receiver in football right now. To be able to play through all of that, miss one game, and still have, what was it, 115 receptions and something like that. Good afternoon, Matt Henry. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either. That's why I don't want to spoil it, but we've already heard about this. How many oblique injuries have we seen end baseball players' seasons? And Amon-Ra played football through it. That's insane. Yes, absolutely. So let's get into this. Giovanni Manu. And like I said, I copied this first profile right from Draft Buzz, the guy that writes about the draft prospects that the Cowboys visit. And he said, here's a fun one. The best kept secret in the NFL draft is Tongan offensive tackle Giovanni Manu of University of British Columbia, who checks in at a freakish 6.073 inches tall. So 6'7" and a third inches tall, 352 pounds. Manu ran a 496 at his pro day, which featured half the league in attendance. He also had a vertical leap of 33.5 inches. This is in the 85th percentile In other words, the top 15% of every tackle ever tested in RAS history with an RAS of 965. And he also added Manu had just concluded his first 30 visit with the Cowboys, and he has 6 on the docket as of now. So after watching some game film, I said Giovanni made the All-Canadian team his final year before entering the NFL draft, even though there are slight rule differences, making him raw and unpolished, but will develop into a solid to great offensive tackle. Notice I didn't say All-Pro. I didn't say Pro Bowler. I just said solid to great, which means he's going to be good. Just on sheer size alone, Giovanni looks like one massive hulking type of man. He had 1,100 snaps without giving a sack his final year at left tackle. When he learns his hand usage NFL style, it will help his game greatly. He has a tendency to drive opponents to the ground. He needs to work on his center of balance and keeping low to keep from landing on top of defenders or may lead to unwarranted holding penalties in the NFL. His strength and his athleticism leaps off the page, and yes, all puns are intended. So there it is. That is my deep dive into Giovanni Manu. Um, that's what I seen off of his game film. All I did was I pulled his statistics and who he visited with at that time off of the draft profile I used for the description of his size. Everything that I said was from watching his game film because it's not a penalty if you fall over on top of somebody and can't get up right away in the Canadian football, but it is an American football. So that's something he has to work on because we all have seen the guy that couldn't get off a guy or when they're trying to get up and they fall back on him and we get a holding penalty and you're like, how's that holding? He just held him to the ground. It's holding. And that's, I don't want to see that. So he has to work on that center of gravity very much so. I mean, if he falls over and just gets up, that's one thing because that happens in the NFL and that's not penalized. I'm talking where it looks like he kind of just lays there and holds them there underneath him. Because at 352 pounds, how many people are moving him right away? I think it's just because he's a big teddy bear and he wants to cuddle somebody. So, what do you think about what I said about Giovanni Manu? I notice I didn't say he's going to be a starter right away. Notice I didn't say anything about him playing right away. I just want to know what you thought about what I said about him. Georgia just got a verbal commitment from a kid who's 6'10". Do you think Bryce Young would hit him in the back? Passes in the back of the head. I think he'd be lucky to hit him in the back of the head. It would be more likely right between the shoulder blades because I don't think he could see over the guy. Is his nickname Tiny? Brent DeWitt, did you get to hear that draft profile, or do I need to read it again? You're giving Bryce Young an awful lot of credit to target somebody in his head. Dwayne Keene, good to see you, brother. One Pride, NFC North Championship. Let's defend it. I'm just guessing what you're going to say next, because you've changed it up over the last couple of weeks. Because as we get closer, everybody realizes, hey, every team got better. The kid will definitely get an opportunity because of his size. Yes, 100%. So let's hear the 6 teams that actually brought Giovanni Manu in for a visit because I've heard so many fans of the rival fan bases. Oh, you guys wasted a fourth round pick on a Becca Beckel. One of them was the Bears. Cowboys, the Eagles, 49ers. Notice something about those top three teams I talked about? What do they all have? Good offensive lines. They all brought them in. The Lions and the Bears. That rounds it out. That's your six teams that took a long look and had this guy in their building prior to the draft. Oh, yeah, I forgot the other one. You might have heard of them. They just won the Super Bowl. They're called the Chiefs. I just did the math in my head. I was like, oh, I only named five. And they all run the ball well. Let's go, Detroit Lions. Won pride NFC North Championship last year. We can do it again this year. The Bears O line still it's improved. Um, I'm going to say something, and a lot of Lions fans aren't going to like me for it. The Bears O line were not as bad as Justin Fields made them look. Last 2 years, they statistically held a pocket 2 years ago in the 2022 and 23 season, 2.7 seconds. In the 23-24 season, it dropped a little bit to 2.6 seconds. Now, what's the difference in that? 2.7 seconds was top 10. 2.6 seconds is 22nd. So to say it absolutely sucked at yeah, they were okay. But the fact that Justin liked to play hero ball, and I'm saying this on purpose for Matt Henry to hear. I want you to hear the whole thing before you chime in. Because he played hero ball, Justin Fields was a big problem for the O-line. And Justin Fields is the reason why Aiden Hutchinson has two picks. The other two picks came from Aaron Rodgers. How about that, everybody? Good to see you here, Brent. And Matt Henry said Pride Month ended in June. Gay Pride now. Fair down. Yeah. And I know we all poo poo on it, but personally, when you heard everything you heard prior to the season about Caleb and his father and what they wanted in a contract, and then on Monday he goes and contacts Mike Florio and says, "I know my worth" on NFL Network. It's starting to look like that was not such a fetch that he's a diva. And I'm not even trying to say it nicely. I'm not hiding my disdain for that whole thing when it came out, and when he said, "Oh, I really didn't say that. That was my dad," and blah blah blah. And now all this comes out. Sounds like the nut don't come too far from the tree, and that's usually the case 9 times out of 10. If the dad acts that way, usually the kid acts that way. Um, so I don't know. And the fact he has lawyers instead of agents, I understand that saves him money. When you think about it, it does. It saves him money. An agent gets 10 to 20% off the top. He gives them 50K and they do all the negotiations for him. An agent is a guy that just learned how to write his own contract better. It's better than having your mom be your agent, but it worked out pretty good for. Amen. I I agreed. I think I said I wouldn't be surprised if they waited to see who fell to the second round in the quarterbacks. Hear me out, Matt Henry. I think you guys would have been better off if you didn't go MHJ at one, if you'd have went best offensive tackle or best interior guard. I don't care if it hasn't been done in history. I'd have went O-line there or traded back. That's just me. I think you guys could have built your team and had that O-line fixed in one season. Because where you guys struggled and was the worst at was run blocking. Granted, two of the guys you signed to replace the three you got rid of, they're better at run blocking, but they're worse at pass blocking. So that's a catch-22 until we see it. On paper, it looks like it's better, but until you see it on the field, you can't say it's technically better right now because nobody's gelled or played together. It is still just an okay unit. And that's what I'm going to leave it at. I'm not going to say they're dog crap because that was just making fun of people because of how many sacks that Justin Fields took through his first 2 years. Caleb is handed a situation that any rookie number one QB would cream their pants for. The ball is in his hands. Yes, 100%. You're absolutely right. He should be happy to sign for whatever the salary cap and the rookie cap allows to play football. But he's not. That's the problem. And I said I will know getting closer to camp time whether this is an issue or not. And I listened and took all the lumps from other Bears fans and Packers fans and Vikings fans when the Terrion Arnold stuff came up about him not being signed yet and everything else. And during OTAs, what's done? The contract. The only one we had left to do. Terrion Arnold signed. All six of our rookie draft class is signed. So we don't have any of these issues going into camp. And now, if Caleb doesn't sign that by the first day of rookie OTAs, which start next week, he can't be at rookie OTAs. He cannot be on the field because he is not a contracted player, which is going to hinder his development. Because I know my worth is his exact words to Mike Florio. And I think we're going to have a situation like you had between the students and the NCAA who took the NC. Oh, what's up, JB? Good afternoon, everyone from RXJ. Yeah, which means this could be one of those situations that no one wants to think about, but it already happened in the NCAA. Remember when the kids in California sued the NCAA for the rights to be able to sell their own signatures? So don't be surprised because he's part of this NIL generation of college talent coming out who's still getting paid by Subway. $12 million a year, by the way, people. The Subway gave him $24 million a year in college. He signed that the year before when he won the Heisman. And he has 2 years left on that, so he makes half that money these 2 years. They also make a percentage of all of his signings, sports memorabilia, and jersey sales. They make a percentage of what he would make off of that. That's name, image, and likeness. That's part of the deal. Yes, you can make money, but you have to give us our cut. That's why MHJ is fighting with Fanatics about people being able to sell his jersey yet because he only signed an offer sheet, not a contract. He thinks they do not have the rights to do it. So I hope he wins that case because it would be nice to see Fanatics get a slap in the face. MHJ actually signed his rookie contract. He didn't sign the player jersey sales part yet. So again, I'm going to read this over because we have a few new Lions fans in here. Giovanni Manu draft profile. Uh, I'm going to skip right over. I'm just going to give out the stats and then go into what I saw by watching game film. He's 6'7" and a third inches tall, 352 pounds. He ran a 4.96 at his pro day and had a 3.35 vert, which came out to an RAS score of 965, which put him in the top 15 percentage of every offensive tackle ever graded since 1996 when Kent Lee Platt started tracking the stat based off of combine numbers. He had 30 visits. The Chiefs, the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Lions, and the Bears. Giovanni made the All-Canadian team his final year before entering the NFL draft. Even though there are slight rule differences making him raw and unpolished, he could develop into a solid to great offensive tackle just on sheer size alone. Looks like one massive hulking type of man. He had 1,100 snaps without getting a sack his final year at left tackle. By the way, he did have 33 bench reps too, which is insane for a guy that big and that size. But once he learns his hands usage in the NFL style and also how to work on his center of his balance and stay low through his blocks so he's not falling over and landing on top of defenders, because he has a tendency to be slow to get up, and that may be considered holding in the NFL, leading to unwarranted holding penalties that would not be necessary. His strength and athleticism leaps off the page. He could be the next guy for whoever needs to be replaced at either tackle position. Right, the rookie salary is already in place according to where they were drafted. I bring up the NIL with Caleb because he's a part of this generation of players coming out of college. And we said this is going to be a problem when they got here. And this is the first time we're hearing this. What if he has lawyers so he can sue the NFL for limiting his earning potential as the number one pick overall? Just food for thought. I'm not going to say he's going to do it. I haven't heard anything like that. But with that statement, I know my worth. I find that statement troubling. More troubling than most of the people are giving it credit for. We haven't heard this at this point in the game by any rookie ever before. We've heard, oh, we're talking about guaranteed money. Oh, we're talking about the signing bonus. We're talking about this and we're talking about that. We have never heard these words come out of a rookie's mouth just before training camp. And it's troubling to me. It shows me he's more about the money than the team. All that talk, go Bears, the Bears. Guess what? It was all him going through the motions. That's why he put no emotion in it other than being picked first overall. That last part about suing the NFL is just my opinion, but it's leaning me towards that. If that happens, this could be very bad. And I'll tell you why. Who has to decide that the CBA is legal in the NFL? Who has to ratify it? And it has to be signed by all the heads of their players' union. Notice I said it. And Rome hasn't signed his contract either in Chicago. I understand that. Rome, I get. But there has been a report he's doing it. He's waiting for the cameras at training camp, and he's going to sign first day on camera. That I did hear. And that was the plan with Caleb until all this stuff started. Sounds like the Bears drafted a diva QB. I agree. I said that was my only thing coming out of college, out of everything that happened in this offseason from prior to the combine to now. The only thing I said about Caleb was I don't like the diva attitude he has. And now he comes out just before training camp and does this. And I kind of feel bad for Bears fans because they didn't have a choice. They're stuck with him. You have to think about that. If this is the case, this could be a move of Millen-esque proportions for the Bears. A guy that doesn't want to be there. If he loses his case, he's going to be disgruntled. If he does the case thing, I'm going devil's advocate and talking on the negative side. And I'm doing this on purpose. So you get a guy that didn't want to be there because he's not making the money he wanted, and now he has to play there or he can't play for the length of that contract, and he can't prove his worth on the field. How good do you think he'll be if he sits for 4 years and never plays football? Blue and Silver, are the Bears allowed to sign Caleb beyond 4 years? No, absolutely not. 4 years, a rookie contract is set at 4 years with the first rounders. You get a fifth-year option, and that's it. I'm just saying there's a chance because he doesn't have agents. He has a team of lawyers that does his contract stuff for him, which means he has a law firm on retainer. Gave him $50,000 a year to take care of all of his contract stuff. Way cheaper than paying an agent. What if they're saying, no, RxJ, it would be to me a Millen-esque type of situation where they don't have a choice and they're stuck with them. When I think still to this day, they'd have been better off developing Fields another year, but that's just me. Caleb improved each year. Not greatly, but improved. Doug Michael Rosine, first time here. Watched the Lions beat Cleveland in 1957 as it was happening. Seen a lot. Thank you, sir. Welcome to the show. Uh, I am 100% a fan interactive show. I talk directly to my fans after each comment. I try to do it in live unless I'm in the middle of a take or reading something off of another page or my phone. And the reason why I am this way is because I think a lot of fans appreciate being acknowledged immediately. I agree they screwed the pooch on QB and head coach. And Trace says, I agree they should have developed Fields for one more year. Because look at what you got for him. And I understand Poles let him go where he wanted to go. There isn't a GM that's going to turn down the offer that the Commanders made. Just think about how deadly the Bears would be if they'd have got 2 first-round picks and a third from the Commanders, which was the offer I heard, or if they took the deal from the Patriots, which was 2 firsts and a third. Either one of them. So you got 3 top 10 picks then? 3 top 10 picks. If you didn't want Caleb Williams at first, you take MHJ. You take the next best quarterback down the road if you got the Commanders, because lo and behold, I just think it's ridiculous. He could have taken MHJ. You could have taken the best offensive tackle on the board, and then at 9, you probably still would have got Roma Dunze. And I don't think Caleb is going to be the next Mahomes. That's I don't see that in him. I'm not calling Caleb a system quarterback either. That is what Mahomes was called coming out. And say what you want, the year they drafted Mitch Trubisky, Chicago could have done like the Lions, 2 firsts and a third, and Goff. Go figure. Ain't nobody right. Nobody knows yet. People are saying Caleb will be a bust, and that's a possibility, but it wouldn't be crazy if he came in and balled out as well. That's right. 100%. This is why the rookie salary cap was put in place. Is Caleb as athletic as Justin Fields? Hell no. Not a chance. Is he a better quarterback than Fields as a rookie? Possibly. Wouldn't it be crazier if he held out all season then re-entered the draft? Because Eberflus is a defensive coach, and the defense improved every year he was here. Granted, the talent on the defense they bought and paid for and put it there every year. I there he goes. Here's a question with this roster: would Chicago win more games with Fields or Caleb? I think they would. I think he'd agree one more with Fields. He's already a proven NFL commodity. Every year his wins went up. With a rookie, you don't know what you're going to get. You know what you got with Fields. You know what he needed to work on. And he was under contract at a cheaper rate at the 12th pick than the first pick overall. That's where I'm at. Remember Favre, great at times, less consistent, but dynamic. Yes. That's kind of cool, man, Henry. I have a nickname for Coach Eberflus myself. They added Morgan Sweat. Don't forget they added T.J. Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. So they added 2 big linebackers. They also added Kevin Byard. They made some moves. Yep, that is where I'm at. I can't tell you I know where it is. Him being gone, yes, it is great for our defense because he won't be running all over us, 100%. But I'm not trying to be a homer here. I'm trying to, oh God, as much as I hate to say it, I'm trying to be the devil's advocate. What would have happened if they'd have kept Fields and built around him? Because then you get a massive haul for the first pick overall and rebuild your entire team in one draft instead of having 4 picks. That's where I was at. So what did you guys think about the draft profile I did? Is it pretty does it sound pretty accurate? Is it not trying to be a homer and blow something up into something it's not? I basically made him sound like a project, correct? Yeah, and I was one that said they should have kept them too. 56 days. The NFL is a whole different game than NCAA. More than half aren't able to adjust to the NFL. You're absolutely right. First round bust rate, not even just QBs. I'm talking about across the board, is 68%. Guess what your biggest bust potential is? There's two positions. It's quarterback and cornerback. Next after that is wide receiver. Next after that is defensive end. Next after that is linebacker. Offensive line and defensive line have the least amount of bust rate as far as defensive interior for first round picks. Yeah, it's a 68% bust rate. You got a 32% chance to get it right. Yes, I wanted to be realistic in what I projected him as. Could be a solid to great starter down the road. And I said it that way on purpose. If he'd have went to a team with a bad O-line, he probably would be a starter. And I don't think the Bears have bad tackles. I think they got lesser interior O-line. I'm trying to word it to where it doesn't sound like I'm being down on the Bears O-line as much as some people are. Fields was the biggest reason why there was a lot of sacks in Chicago. You watch, 70% of his sacks came outside the tackles, and 80% of his fumbles came outside the tackles when being sacked. Um, we can go on. QBs saved the team or put them in another rebuild for a few years. It's a big gamble. I don't think under the new CBA with this rookie cap the way it is that kids can re-enter the draft. It isn't like hockey and baseball. Drew Henson didn't get to re-enter the draft. Yeah, that I am right. Drew Henson did not get to re-enter the draft after he was drafted by the Cowboys. When he came back after going to the Yankees and playing his 3-year contract and bouncing out of the league, he had to go back to the Cowboys. He was drafted in the first round in 2 leagues. How crazy is that? Doug Michael Rosine. St. Brown took 9 games to get broken into the league. Rome behind already. Caleb, they gave up their franchise QB and he's quibbling about millions. Not a lion type of team. 100%. I get it. That's what I was getting at. And I said my only problem with Caleb coming out of college, and everybody heard me. I said, I don't know if he'll be good against NFL defenses because he did struggle against top 25 defenses in NCAA. I don't know if he is a read and react quarterback, but his diva mentality. I'm a Bears fan and you're a Lions fan. We have heard the hype in the past, and until I see it on the field, it's just hype. 100%. That's where I'm at. I think a lot more teams need to go in by the way of developing a quarterback than looking for the next great one to come out of college. I'm in that proponent. If you've got a decent QB, draft one in the second, third, or fourth round and let him sit behind the guy and learn the entire playbook till he knows it like the back of his hand. So he can look down and not go, hey, I don't remember that. The only time you should do that is when you're my age because it might be a liver spot. And yes, I'm 53 year olds. I've been a fan of this team for 45 years, going on 46. My birthday is in October. I'll be 54. One read and run doesn't work well in the NFL. 100%. And the bad part is he was nowhere near as athletic as a runner as Justin Fields. And everybody in the NFL is stronger, faster, and bigger. Quarterbacks who run like they did in college, when they ran because they couldn't read somebody open or wait for them to get open and panicked under pressure, they get hurt more often than not in this league. And I am not trying to be a homer. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm giving honest facts about stuff to me. I want to go August 11th is what I looked at on that schedule, Trace. It's a Sunday. Let's look at it here. Yeah, because the season ticket holders got to do it this week. Next Tuesday is when our day is to get tickets. How many do I need to get? And I know you said you were getting a bunch. Oh, October 9th. Look at the worst games of SC Williams last year. Add several more like that against NFL teams like the Lions. Okay. Yeah, it's October 9th. I was born on a Friday in 1970 at 10:59 a.m. according to what it said there. Oh. So the other thing is a podcast about the NFC North had the Lions going from first to worst. And here's the things that they said. Oh, cool, Libra. Right. Oh, man, I don't feel Caleb if it backfires on him. Play the game the right way. If you know your worth, play for your worth like everyone else. 100%. Well, Trace, looks like we got something else to celebrate in October. We got to get together for the birthday in between them. You know what? That's funny. I got the same birthday as your older brother. Guess what? Guess who we have the same birthday as that's famous? He's dead now, but he's famous as hell. John Lennon. John Lennon was born October 9th. Know who else is born October 9th? Panay frickin' Sewell. Absolutely, I'm down for that. So we can either. Hello, Ralph Williams, our Steelers fan. He's always a part of the NFL roundtable talks I do whenever I have them and he's available. I'm glad he had a great vacation and he's back because he was able to be on last night. We had a lot of fun, talked some NFL news, and then went directly into trivia. Wow, lots of birthday LOL. What's up, Ralph? Um, I don't think James Mitchell is in competition, Doug Michael Rosine. James Mitchell has struggled to show anything on the field that he's worth being on the field. I think it comes down to the final four. Um, we know Sam Laporta is starting, so that leaves three: Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and Parker Hess. Yes, you are quite welcome, Ralph. Darcy Mule, I got hammered for my 10-7 predictions. Thoughts? I don't think there's any way we do anything less than 11-6, and I think our ceiling is 14-3. But I think we end up with either 12-5, 13-4. Because while everybody else in the division got better, we did too. We nailed up our weakest rooms, and they are no longer the weakest rooms in the division. Everybody says our wide receiver room's weak, but if PFF has the second best in the NFC North, ranked only behind the Vikings, and that's according to PFF. Yes, JB Jr. is a troll account. Hey, Jeremy. So, what's this podcast about going from first to last in our division? Well, they gave three reasons, and Kurt Steele gave them out, and I'll put it in a nutshell. Um, will St. Brown live up to last year, his best year ever? Is the number one thing they said. Are the players still going to be able to buy into the culture if they have a losing streak at all? We already saw that in 2022. And last but not least, even though their secondary looks improved on paper, is it? So that is what they said. And they said, but they didn't have the Bears doing much better. They had both the Lions and the Bears going 9-8. They had the Packers winning it at 10-7, and the Vikings winning 4 games. Or the Vikings winning 9 games, excuse me. Everybody going 9-8 other than the Packers. Well, 12-6, they'd be 12-5, right? Because 6 games may be 11 wins. So Darcy, I understand your skepticism. We went 12-5 with Goff last year without a third quarter. We only played 3 quarters of football last year. Think about this. We went 12-5 playing 3 quarters of football. Can you imagine when they I don't think the secondary is going to take much time at all. Brian Stovers goes, of course they're going to put Green Bay first. Of course they would. Why? Well, it's fornicate the Packers. We all know. We all know what time it is. It's that time every day. Yeah, sorry. Yep. Yeah, I have said I said that at worst, the only way we get worse is by 1 game, and that would be 11-6. I know, but they're counting on that defense to win a lot. They forgot that they got Sam Darnold starting, according to all reports I've seen for the Vikings. And Sam Darnold only got the job because Kwesi Hurdy named his ghosts Justin and Jordan. And think about it, we got two non-rookies that we brought in. That's what everybody's forgetting about. We still got vets. We re-signed a vet that's coming off of an injury. AG needs to improve this year, and Ben Johnson must have better third quarters. I think they adjusted when they didn't need to. You want to know the exact game when the Lions started communicating, Darcy Maville? I'll tell you the exact game. It was when CJGJ's bum ass got hurt and missed the rest of almost the whole season. We started communicating better game 2 versus the Seattle Seahawks. If it wasn't for CJGJ taking that penalty where he tore his pec on third down when he made a stop on Kenneth Walker the third, 4 yards behind the offense, the line of scrimmage, as soon as he went off the field and Tracy Walker came on, the communication in the secondary got better. And that was after Mosley snapped his knee. You can say AG only did so much with the talent he had, but when Dan Campbell says, I got to put my hands on this defense after the Chicago loss in Chicago, and the defense got 80% more aggressive after that and looked like a better defense throughout the rest of the season, I want to see that type of defense all year out of AG, or he's got to go. Sam Darnold will take you as far as a Toyota without an engine. Good luck, Minnesota. Every year, our talent got better in the secondary, but yet the passing defense never got much better. We were 32nd in passing in 2021. In the 2022-23 season, we went up to 29th. I don't look past Arizona. I look past Kyler Murray. They have a good team. They don't have a great quarterback. I think top 8 is too high of a ceiling to try at. I think we'll still have a great run defense because we improved there too with who we drafted and signed. We got a bunch of tacklers, the guys that don't miss tackles much, and that's huge in the secondary as well as in the defensive front. I think if you're aiming anything above top 10, you're aiming too high. We were the 22nd defense overall, increment improvement. If we'd have been the 15th defense, we'd have won the Super Bowl last year, and we probably only would have lost the Ravens game. So I'm going to go at top 15 minimum. I right. I hear you, Corey Patterson. I think it's top 15 is where it gets got to start at. Anything above 50. You said top 5. That's why I was like, whoa. Uh, if we improve by 7 spots, go from the 22nd scoring defense to the 15th, every team outside of 5 teams, and I'll name them here in a bit. There's 27 teams that have 17 winnable games on their schedule. The bottom 5 teams, they've got 6. Titans are considered a bottom 5 roster right now. The Patriots, the Panthers, I think they're a bottom 5 team. The Saints are a bottom 5 team. And the Broncos. Those are the bottom 5 rosters in the NFL. My thoughts on the other edge. Hmm. Well, I think it's going to come down to 2 guys unless we make a trade. I think it's going to come down to right now because of their raw and where they're at and where they've been. I think it's going to come down to, believe it or not, I think it's going to come down to either Marcus Davenport or Matthew Betts. Brad and MCDC put a lot of resource into this defense. No excuses for AG. And I am going by the reports that I've seen by Tim 20 Man. And bye. Oh yeah, I've seen the prospects. I think they could be great. I have seen the Cardinals. And I think they did put a good team together, but I still don't think they have enough to make it. MCDC put a lot of resources into this defense. No excuses for AG. This is a prove it season for AG. 100%. Matthew Betts, and the only reason why I say that, if you look at it, every single beat writer, including Tim Twentyman and Jefferson, talked about his elite bend and change of direction skills. One thing James Houston has is elite bend, but his change of direction skills is what was lacking. That is why he struggles with run defense. That is why they tried moving him out further from the D line and putting him as a Sam linebacker, but they made the mistake of putting him in coverage. So he's not a coverage linebacker. He never should have been put in coverage. He's been a defensive end and a misguided missile his entire career. He's a straight line guy. If he gets the bend and the get off right off the rip, he's going to burn past you. And that's what I thought as soon as we hired him, Trace, with Coach Terrell Williams. I think he's the guy that's brought in to be the successor. No, there is no excuse for Ben Johnson. I've said this all along. We cannot have a third quarter where we are 32nd in scoring on both sides of the ball. We can't. Our defense gave up 25% on third downs, 25.2%, which was worse in the league. Guess where 60% of them came? The third quarter. Guess where 40% of those third down conversions on third and long? Guess I think Terrell Williams will be the guy that takes over at DC. He's got the mindset. But listen to this part, and this is what's going to blow your mind. Third and long, we gave up 25% on third down. That's 10 plus yards. Right. That is exactly right. He should be playing in the wide nine technique, Darcy. I think we should have the plethora of guys opposite Hutchinson. Comiskey is his backup. The only way one of those guys don't start it is if this trade rumor that is speculated that the Lions are looking into that the oh, I didn't. I wrote an article about it. That it's one of the things that both coordinators needed to work on. I wrote an article in my season review. I 100% called out the offensive and defensive woes in the third quarter. It's both. 60% of the third downs we gave up on third and long was in the third quarter. 40% of them as a whole were due to penalties. So that 25% is actually bloated when it comes to play on the field because 40% of them were plays where we stopped them, but we had a defensive penalty which gave them the first down. So that's awful. I think it's going to be a plethora of Betts, Davenport, and Pascal playing at that end position. Comiskey is the backup to Hutchinson. The only way that changes is if we trade Comiskey and a pick for a guy on the trade block with the Patriots, and that's Matt Judon because they're trying to dump salary. We got enough salary cap to be able to take him on and still roll some over next year. If we sent Comiskey and a pick over there to get Judon, Judon's the starter 100% opposite Hutch. And I'm all for it. Because Davenport hasn't been able to stay healthy the last 5 straight seasons. He's played a total of 22 games in 5 seasons, and that scares the shit out of me. I don't want him to be the starter. I would rather it be Pascal or Betts. That's just me. It was either 10 or 11 games where we scored 30 or more points. Yes. AG gets a lot of the blame because the passing defense was way too porous. And that's on scheme. And he changed the defense coming into the second half. They put Cam Sutton on the other guy, as do I. I would rather see Davenport as a rotational pass rush guy. Um, he's okay against the run. He's not great. One thing I have seen watching a lot of game film on Matthew Betts and his time with the BC Lions, and before that, he was with the Elton Elks. And with the Elton Elks, he was the only guy on defense who played when he was on the field. They just didn't use him as a starter. If Davenport gets a rotational role, small workload, I think it would be great for him. I'm hoping they brought him in to do that. I hope they brought him in just to be the rotational guy and vet leadership. But I am running late. It is time to get off here. It's time for me to go to work, which I got to get changed. Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. This here, brand and service, 100%. at the corner of Grand Traverse and Atherton Road, 602 Atherton Road, here in Flint, Michigan, where the water's shit, but the tires are great. Stop in and check them out. $40 used tires and up. If you need a new tire, call 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself. Have a blessed day, everybody, and thanks for watching.